تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذ, إذ, إذ ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير صدق الله العلي العظيم. وصلنا
Aren't they broadcasting live? Jawad. No, not for him. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. We've spoken about the topic of akhlaq on numerous occasions here at the Musalla on our Friday night youth program, so I'm sure you're all familiar with the overall understanding of akhlaq and its importance. And we know that on a practical level it's always going to be something challenging for us due to the many different scenarios that we face in our daily life, in how we are able to uphold the good ethical standards that we have in our religion, Islam. We know that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked about this particular field of the human side, one of the things that he had mentioned in showing the importance of akhlaq was him saying that the primary objective and goal, the main purpose that he had in being sent by God to humanity was to perfect people's morality. And this is why when we look at akhlaq, we're not only looking at the moral side of a person, but also looking at their ethical standards and their manners that they have. And all of that comes under the wider umbrella of akhlaq. Because if you remember, we spoke about the difference between ethics and morals, and we also spoke about the difference between ethics and morals and manners as well. Sometimes they all join together, sometimes they could be somehow different. the big issue that we have, unfortunately, in our society is that the standards of akhlaq are now not as clear as they were before, in that it's now very, very cloudy. People don't really know what is akhlaq, what represents al-khuluq, al-akhlaq, and how can you as a Muslim be someone who keeps up to what it is that akhlaq wants from you, especially with all these easy things that are around us, the temptations that we are facing, and of course the negative influence that is around us as well. One of the things that akhlaq promotes very much is for you to be able to distinguish very clearly, very quickly, what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is evil. But this is unfortunately nowadays easier said than done, because sometimes you're so grey in your understanding, you're so clouded in your understanding, you are not able to make that distinction. And that's unfortunately as a result of in sometimes mixing with the wrong people. For example, you know that one of the important things that you need to always stress on, always live by, is having a good, legal, lawful, halal income. All of a sudden, you're given a very tempting offer to get 4, 5, 10 times the amount of how much you would regularly work in that day or in that week. And it's also very easy for you to do. Of course, that's tempting for anyone, for everyone. You just need to pick up. You don't ask any questions. You pick up parcel from point A and you deliver it to point B. You take it from this person and you hand it over to this person. And that's going to take you 1 hour, and the rest of the week you're not going to be doing absolutely anything. So in your normal standards of how you think, you know, your akhlaqi behavior and conduct should be, is that you need to always stay within the boundaries of law and halal and whatnot. Now all of a sudden there's this offer, and if you haven't prepared yourself mentally for how you're going to face this kind of situation, then you're going to give in. What does your akhlaq do? Akhlaq makes you not only strengthen your nafs, but also give you the ability to resist those temptations and any kind of offerings that you know that is wrong. You're walking into your office, your area of work, you find out that the person before you has left their wallet, has left their money, has left their mobile phone. There's no cameras on, no accountability whatsoever. There's 50 other people that work in that area. There would be no way whatsoever of it being traced back to you if you took that mobile phone, or if you took that money, or if you took that wallet or whatnot. What are you going to do? What kind of character are you if you are going to be the honest person, or if you're going to be that person who just slips it in their pocket and carries on with the rest of their day? And that's why you see a lot of these social tests, you know, in the streets, you know, social experiments where they get, you know, someone who is walking down the road and they drop a wallet on the floor and they're being recorded, and then you've got some people who would pick it up and put it in their pocket and carry on with the rest of their walk. And you've got other people who pick it up and run after that person and say, hey, you just dropped your wallet. What kind of person are you? You scratch someone's car and dent their car because you opened the door very quickly. Are you going to leave them a letter and say, this is my number, I just dented your car, I just scratched your car? Or are you going to get back in the car and drive and park somewhere else so they don't figure out that it was you? What kind of person are you? That's what we mean by akhlaq and akhlaqi standards. And in every situation you have these kind of examples in front of you. And that's why for someone who does observe the higher standards of akhlaq, it's always going to be a win-win situation for them. Because there's never going to be a case where haram income, haram money, haram stolen items, for example, is going to give you barakah and blessings in your life. And you look into this, you'll find out that someone who has gained earnings from haram, even Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that, haram earnings reveal itself in the children. Haram earnings reveal itself in the children. Tabinu fi dhurriya, as the hadith says. And that pretty much means that sometimes you see a parent, father, mother, mashallah, really, really good, but, you know, they did some shifty, shady stuff when they were in their work, you know, running off with money from someone or ripping someone off, telling them that, yeah, there's something wrong with your car and there wasn't anything wrong, or selling some broken item or whatnot. And then later on they come to realize that their son, their daughter has gone way off the path. Why is that? Well, it seems that it should be the parents who have a good kind of religious upbringing should allow that to reflect on the children, because this is where we understand that there is a difference between your way that you appear and your conduct. There is a difference between you praying on time and your conduct. Even Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, you don't test someone by how much they pray or how much they fast. They could be praying all the time. You don't look at someone because of in how they appear. They've got a nice going beard, they've got 4 or 5 aqiq rings, they're holding a misbah all the time, they've got burnt forehead because of how much sujood they do, they've got wearing a dishtasha, they're called haji, they've got a turban, they are wearing the hijab when the hanak, her whole chin is covered, right? And then you come to realize that, look how toxic she is, look how evil he is, look how bala akhlaq they are with their gossiping, with their backbiting, with their outright robbing, with their disloyalty. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, you don't test someone by their salah and how much they pray and how much they fast, but you test them with sidqul hadith, in how truthful they are in their statements, wa ada'ul amana, and how much they observe amana. Amana isn't only me giving you $100 and asking you to keep it safe and giving it back to me a month later. Amana is also me telling you something in confidentiality and expecting that you keep that as a secret, as amana within you. As the hadith says, al-majalis bil-amanat. If we're sitting down having a talk and we're speaking about something, obviously you don't want that to go out in the public, but then the next day, spread the information that, oh, Muhammad said this in our gathering last night. No, that's a violation of amana. that is a violation of amana. That's khiyanatul amana, as they say. So when we talk about your primary characters, your virtues, your fada'il that you have, and of course your vices, your vice, your radha'il. Fadila means something that gives you a sense of being better than someone else. Radhila means something that makes you lower than something else. And that's why for every fadila, there is an opposite in a radhila. I think I chose, where's the shisma please? I think I chose the wrong color for this. But for example, we see that you have shuja'a. What's shuja'a mean? Courage. And then the opposite is jibin. What's that mean? Cheese. Right? So the opposite of bravery or courage is cowardice. Cowardice or cowardice? All right. Then we've got sakha. What's sakha mean? Sakha. No. Someone sakhi, someone generous, someone kind. And the opposite is bukhl. What's bukhl? Yes, greedy. Then we've got something called sabr. What's sabr? Patience. And what is this? Jaza'. What's jaza' mean? Impatience, dismay, loss of any kind of patience. Husn al-khuluq. Good manners. Su' al-khuluq. Bad manners. Tawadu'. Humbleness. Kibr. Pride, haughtiness. Right? Haya. Modesty. Thank you very much. Waqaha. Waqih. Waqaha. What's waqaha mean? Insolence. The opposite of modesty. And this is why Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, okay, explain to me what does akhlaq mean? And he said, Talin janahaka, that you show a level of humbleness, that you're humble. وَتَطِيب كَلَامَكَ, and you speak nice, you say nice things, you're nice. وَتُلْقِي أَخَاكَ بِبِشْرٍ حَسَنٍ, and when you meet your fellow brethren, you meet them politely. And that's why, unfortunately, this is a very nice picture here. It says a lot of these things here, they are dead. We don't see them anymore. Haya, it's very rare to find modesty anymore. Or amana, very rare to find that. These have become very scarce in our society. That's mainly because of the lack of taqwa that people have, unfortunately. Because taqwa itself is you safeguarding and protecting yourself from the evil temptations that are around you, in remembering that you have a responsibility to make sure that you are doing what is right and correct for you. That's why we hear this word taqwa many times in the Quran and in the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. What is taqwa? It's awareness. It is understanding. It is reverence. It is awe. It is hope. And it is modesty. And that's why when the stronger your taqwa is, the higher you will go in the steps towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's that say? Muslim. And then mu'min. And then muhsin. And then mukhlis. And then muttaqi. And this is the ayah that represents what it is that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi had. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ azim. Indeed, you hold the highest level of akhlaq. Where do we do all of this? You know, what is it that we need to be working on? Well, your nature, and also your habits, and also your practice. Sometimes they combine together. Sometimes you're not able to, somehow do things in the right way. And sometimes you are giving into, for example, the temptations as far as your nature and that are concerned. And that's why this as a combination needs to work, paying attention. And this is, of course, why we have different elements in our nafs, all working all at once. We have our aql. Of course, our aql is the best guide for us. If it was only our aql that we had, we would be really, really good. We would be angelic. But unfortunately, we've got other things working for us. And these other things serve a good purpose and could also serve a bad purpose. Anger, ghadab, is not always bad. It's not always good as well. For example, if someone insults you and abuses you and insults you and abuses you, you're going to just do absolutely nothing? No, you have to defend yourself. So you need that anger in order for you to use your defense mechanism. The anger that is bad is the anger that you lose, that you lose control over nothing important. So not all the time is anger good, and not all the time is anger bad. Shahwa, lust, desire, also not all the time is it good, not all the time is it bad. In Islam it says you need to regulate it. You need to regulate it. You need to control it. And of course, al-khayal, the faculty of imagination, also needs to be regulated and controlled. If a person isn't able to master what it is that's going through their mind, through their heart, then of course it's going to take them to the wrong direction. And that's why it could become demonic. And of course, this is why Imam Ali alayhi salam has this beautiful hadith that you could become an angel, better than an angel, if you suppress your desires and use your intellect. You could become worse than an animal if you allow your animalistic side, your shahwa, to take over and your aql to be nothing. Because angels are intellects and animals only have desire, don't have intellect. You, the human being, if you are able to manage these things, then you can become better than angels themselves. And this is what Imam Ali alayhi salam says in this hadith: صار أفضل من الملائكة لوصوله إلى هذه المرتبة مع وجود المنازع والملائكة ليس لهم مزاحم. Because angels don't have something that's challenging them, whereas you, the human being, you have something that's challenging you, something that's diverting you, that's taking you away from the path. There are many examples that we can give from the Akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Many stories that we're able to give. I'm going to be mentioning one or two of them tonight, but when it comes to, for example, a simple way of how Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam dealt with someone being aggressive towards him. Now, you know that in our usual daily interaction, someone is going to come and be aggressive to you. Probably because of a car incident, probably because being at work, probably at school, whatever the situation may be, you are able to either de-escalate the situation by walking away, for example, or you're able to escalate it, turning it from 0 to 100 very, very quickly by either swearing back at them or hitting back at them or any kind of offensive behavior that could happen as well. And that's why in this Holy Quran it says, idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Always repel with that which is better. What do we usually say? You respect me, I respect you. You don't respect me, I won't respect you. That's what we usually say, unfortunately. That's a very, very un-Islamic attitude. Very un-Islamic. Or you treat me well, I'll treat you well. You don't treat me well, I'll be ferocious against you. Again, very, very un-Islamic. Don't, pick a fight with me because I'll destroy you. I'll do this to you. I'll do that to you. Again, very, very un-Islamic. And look at all these stories about our A'imma alayhim salam. From the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, where Quraysh would throw rubbish at him. One day, there was no rubbish being thrown at him. He asked about the person. They said, the person's sick. He isn't able to throw rubbish at you today. He's sick. Then the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, let's go and visit him. Who would do that? Tell me. You got your neighbor, for example, doing something, a Karen, for example, right? What are you going to do? You're going to throw the rubbish back at them, or you're going to complain to them, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. Or someone saying to Imam al-Baqir, insulting him, insulting his mother. And Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam said, for example, he said to Imam al-Baqir, Ya Baqar, cow. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam said, well, that's not the name that my parents gave me. And look at this beautiful story. Someone came from Sham, found out that was Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. Of course, in Sham, there was a lot of very bad negative propaganda against Ahlul Bayt. So a lot of them there were not very fond of Ahlul Bayt. So all he did was he saw Imam al-Mujtaba, swore at him, swore at his mother. And then, of course, he stayed quiet. And this happened not once, not twice, but 5 times this happened. And then Imam al-Mujtaba salamullahi alayhi, he said, Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban bik, come here. It seems that you are a stranger. Do you need us to give you shelter? It seems that you come from foreign land. Do you need us to feed you? It seems that you might need direction. Would you like us to give you direction? And all these beautiful things here that Imam al-Mujtaba said to him. And then this person fell down and kissed the blessed feet of Imam al-Mujtaba. That's what usually happens, isn't it? When you don't show that level of aggression to your opponents, right? Someone's coming and attacking you, and you stay calm. You're not feeding their anger. You're not feeding their shaitan. As the ayah says, الشيطان ينزغ بينكم. Nazgh means poking. Pokes you, then pokes him. Pokes you, then pokes her. Wants you to get aggravated against them and wants them to become defensive against you. That's not going to get you anywhere, isn't it? And so sometimes just being quiet, and sometimes just as the ayah says, idfa' billati hiya ahsan, فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. What's that mean? That means when you repel bad with good, that hostility that is between you is extinguished. And that is, of course, so beautiful. Let's have a look at this, watch this clip from the Akhlaq of our A'imma alayhim salam.
السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم. بكم هذا؟
ب10 دراهم.
10 دراهم. همياني همياني، أين همياني؟ هل رأيت همياني؟ هل رأيت همياني؟ همياني، أنت فررت بجانبي. أنت أخذته. أخذت ماذا يا أخي؟ همياني. أنت أخذت همياني. وكم كان في هميانك يا أخي؟ 1000. كان في همياني 1000 دينار. يا معتب، هات 1000 دينار وأعطها للحاج.
السمع والطاعة يا مولاي.
So this guy wants to pay something, he realizes that his money belt isn't there.
دينار وأعطها للحاج.
السمع والطاعة يا مولاي. تفضل يا أخي.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. تفضل.
عفوا يا سيدي، جئت أعتذر منك عما بدر مني. لا بأس عليك يا أخي. لا أدري ماذا أصابني، فكل ما أملك من مالي كان في هذا الهميان وفقدته فجأة، فلم أملك نفسي، والآن وجده أحدهم وأخبره لي. وهذا مالك أيها الرجل الكريم. نحن قوم لا نرد لحوزتنا ما خرج من أيدينا. خذه لك ولعيالك. شكر الله لك وتقبل منك. أرجوك اعفو عن فعلي وإساءتي. إن أهل بيت مروءتنا العفو عمن ظلمنا. وأخبره لي. وهذا مالك أيها الرجل الكريم. نحن قوم لا نرد لحوزتنا ما خرج من أيدينا.
So he came, he said, I'm sorry, I just realized that someone else found my money, so I'm bringing it back to you, and I'm apologizing to you. Then Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, we are from the people who if we give something, we never take it back.
خذه لك ولعيالك. شكر
Take
الله
it and
لك
give it to your
وتقبل
family.
منك. أرجوك اعفو عن فعلي وإساءتي. إن أهل بيت مروءتنا العفو عمن ظلمنا.
So we are from the Ahlul Bayt who forgive those who wrong us. Anyway, I was trying to look for a English subtitle or English story, but I wasn't able to find any, so that's why I found this one. It was really nice as well. As I said, the main point here is, looking into the lifestyle of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. All of you need to spend some time reading or watching or listening about the lifestyle of Ahlul Bayt and being inspired by them. We live in a very, very toxic society. We unfortunately live in I could say like a jungle. Everyone's tense, everyone is having mashakil and problems and, kharbata all the time. What do we do in this situation? Is it different to how it was before? No, this is tabi'atul insan. This is the nature of a human being. The nature of a human being has always been like that. Now maybe it's more in your face because the khabar reaches you quicker because of social media and technology and whatnot. But it's always been like that. It's always been like that. And that's why in the Quran and in the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, always stressing about akhlaq, 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 all the time. But how much effort do we put on akhlaq? How many people ask more about wudu and about this and about that more than they ask about, for example, things to do with your principles, with your values that you have? How many times have we spoken about, how degenerate a lot of things are happening in today's society, especially when it comes to, television and media and movies and series and music. The best immoral example is in all of them. Yani, just imagine the most famous of women today, I'm not going to pollute this musalla by even naming them, the most famous of women today that so many people look up to, she became famous through engaging in the most immoral of acts. And that gave her that popularity and fame that everyone looks up to, that everyone wants to qallid, unfortunately. That's how dysfunctional our society is. And in all of this murkiness, in all of these problems, we need to try to keep up to our standards that we need to have. This is a long hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi to Abu Dharr al-Ghifari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, also giving him advice about what he needs to do, how he needs to conduct himself. Let's have a look at, where's Ali? Let's have a look at this one, for example. Where's Ali? All right, read that one. Ya Aba Dhar. Stop. What's that mean? Come here, enter. Come closer. Come closer. Da. Ya Aba Dhar. Da. Yeah. Yeah, leave whatever doesn't concern you, basically. Yeah. Don't speak. What it's none of your concern. Don't say something that isn't your concern. None of your business. Save, yes, save, secure, store. Your money. Yeah, your money. So you save, you protect your mouth the same way as you protect your money. Right? Isn't that a beautiful way of saying it? What about that? Good.
The example of someone who preaches without
Practice.
is the same as the one who shoots without what's it called?
Shoots an arrow
Shoots an arrow without the arrow.
without a string. So with a bow,
Shoots a gun without the bullets.
with a bow, you have a bow and you have an arrow. What's the main thing that you need on a bow? The string, a stick, huh? Wallah, if I had a stick, I would hit you with it right now.
Can you shoot the arrow without the stick?
As a bow, and the string. Can you shoot the arrow without the string? No, you can't. That's why the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi, he says, al-da'i bila amal, someone who does dua and doesn't practice based on their correct conduct. Karrami bila watar is like someone who wants to shoot an arrow but doesn't have a string for their bow. So the Holy Prophet is saying to Abu Dhar here, he's saying, you are preaching without practice. That's exactly like you wanting to shoot an arrow without having a string for your bow. Anyway, there's a lot more here, but we want to keep it within the time. This is the last wasiyah from Imam Ali alayhi salam to Kumail ibn Ziyad. He says, طفي هذا. Yeah, sorry. All right, sorry.
The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alih
was disciplined.
by Allah, and he's the one that disciplined me.
He's the one that disciplined Imam Ali.
And I discipline the believers, and I inherit the manners
to the noble. Inna Allah. Yeah. Yeah. على أخلاقه. مو أنت you studied نحو يا علي. على is حرف جر. على أخلاقه. What's wrong? على أخلاقه. Yeah. Yeah. أمرنا.
Indeed, God is generous.
Yeah.
Halim means
Forbearing.
and
Great.
great and merciful.
Yeah. He's directed us to his akhlaq. Yeah.
And he ordered us to take these manners on and preaching them to the people.
Yeah.
The same lines, yeah?
Yeah, mashallah. It's very, very engaging, your way of translating. I'm being very sarcastic, actually. We didn't have a chance to allow our reporter today to read something, unfortunately. We'll leave that for another time. Again, my recommendation to you all is to be inspired by the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Spend some time with all that's going on in your life to learn and also implement. It makes no sense, has no value if you're doing something, reading about something, learning something, but you're far from practicing it. Believe me, if I was to be focusing on myself, you were to be focusing on yourself, I was to be picking up good habits and getting rid of my bad habits, you were doing the same thing, we would have a lot less problems. But I'm obsessed with the faults of others. Others are obsessed with the faults of those who are around them, and everyone's worried about everyone else. The Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu alaykum anfusakum. O you who believe, focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Don't worry about others. Worry about yourself, how you can improve, how you can be the better person. If everyone, when you go to Middle Eastern countries, right, you get ripped off by the taxi driver. You say, Ya balish, why? Why did you do that? He said, oh, look at the hukuma, they bugun. What's the hukuma? What's the government got to government stealing? Is that what they do? What's the government stealing have to do with you stealing from me? Why are you justifying your bad conduct because of the hukuma. That's what they do. In general, that's how people are. You steal something from someone and they say, oh, well, I've heard this many times before. Oh, well, if I don't do it, someone else will. What kind of attitude is that? And that's why we really, really need to go back and visit our Islam. We really need to go back and learn from Ahlul Bayt, the Akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin.